Marla, welcome. I told you I'd do this for you, so like I said, this may not be the prettiest of videos, but figured I'd try to give you a few things that I have learned over the years, and really helped me out as far as being stable, being able to brace, being able to kind of squat effectively and to good depth. With also train a long time without getting really any major injuries. Since I've started box squatting, I honestly can't remember the last time that I got like a significant injury from tweaking a little things here and there generally. But I've been able to stay safe for probably 4 years now box squatting, and and getting some good returns on it. But first thing I want to show you is bar setup. Not too high, not too low in the back. Essentially, you want to try to find that point right there in between where your trap ends. If you kind of bring your chicken wing back a little bit, you bring your elbow up, you feel that area right where the trap ends and the delt starts. You want to try to fit into that crease right there, because too high, what's going to happen is you're going to just put too much pressure on your neck. Too low, it starts getting a lot harder to kind of hold on, and you end up having to like pitch forward a little bit more. Having it in that stable position is going to allow you to brace better. It's going to allow you to, kind of hold position better. It's going to take some pressure off of your hands too. So, as well as your neck. So, grip width is variable as close as you can get while still getting into position, because that's going to maintain tightness. So I usually go to the rings, and then when I get up underneath the bar, I take a step underneath, and I get right into that spot, feeling nice and nice and firm up underneath there. And this is the position where you want to be, right there. So I'm not here. I'm not way down here, I'm there. And I mean, I could almost like take my fingers off, but to keep everything, and everything will still stay tight. Step 2 is going to be stance width, that we talked about before on our messages about how you want to get your legs, you want to get your feet into the position that you're going to squat. This is all about efficiency. And this is more to to make sure that you don't have any wasted movement, wasted energy. You're talking about max efforts. You want to make sure that that all that other stuff is that all the energy is going down, back up. So when you get up underneath the bar, take your you want to take your stance and get up underneath. Get feet position. And this is essentially where I like a nice square stance. I don't want one foot forward or back like a stagger stance. I want to be firm. I want to be up underneath. This is where I can drop into my squats. And then from there, you stand up. And now, I like a 2-step approach, because you don't really need much more than that. You can step back 1, 2, and then maybe and then kind of like screw your toes into position, kind of get your feet out a little bit to kind of get rooted into the floor. Nice square stance, kind of pinned off the back of the J cups there. So that way, again, I have enough room to go. I stand up, I take 1, 2, and that's all. And then from there, breathing, bracing, and getting my feet kind of set. But that's all the more space that you really need. I'm going to show you that from the side here in a second. I'm above the J cups here, and if I just take 1, 2, look how much space I have. I have plenty of space. So if I would start to come forward in the squat, I'm not going to bang off those J cups, and those are actually pretty small steps. This is coming up from here, and this is a half a step, maybe a little bit more, another half a step to get this one back to where it's even with the first step. And now I got plenty of room to squat. You'll see some people, you'll see people do like a huge, like 1, 2, 3, get wide. I mean, and they've just moved everything all around. It's hard to stay tight, during that whole process. So, so again, minimal wasted movement, hand, up underneath, good firm base, take it out, pick it, get it back, stable position, ready to, wait for your squat command. Now, one thing about that squat command is you don't have to go. As soon as they say squat, you don't have to just automatically drop. If you feel like you're kind of rocking still, let that bar settle. Let everything settle into you, okay? And the reason why you want to do that, again, so you can really brace, root, and then descend. When you brace, you want to breathe. You don't want to take a big breath up into your chest. You want to keep your chest down. You want to breathe into your stomach. You want to breathe, so when you have a belt on, you want to be breathing into that belt. You want to be breathing out all kind of 360 degrees. You want to be pressing hard into that belt, so you don't want that chest to come up. You want to breathe out, and you want to really bear down, to keep everything nice and tight. The box squat is the fact that it does take a lot of strain off of your knees. It gets you into a good position, and make sure that like wherever you have that box set, that's where you're squatting to. Okay, you can't cheat the box squat, essentially. Like, you can't cut it, because you either hit the box or you don't. Now, there are some things that you want to make sure that you do when you get to the box, and the way that you want to sit back to the box, which I'm going to demonstrate. Okay, so when you step back, you unrack the bar, you step back. Where you want that box. That box can be at different heights depending on what you're trying to work on. For example's sake, I got this thing pretty low, so I'm going down below parallel. And what I'm making sure is that when I go down, I'm sitting back on that squat. You can see that hip crease is definitely below that knee. Okay, and every time I squat down to this box, this knee is going to be above the hip crease. So every time this is going to be a legal squat. Now, there's variations on what you'll see as far as what people will coach to. Some will coach to right to parallel. Some will coach, like within an inch, because that time of like deload to back up, that eccentric to concentric, you're not really losing a whole lot in that if you're like at parallel versus slightly below. But for today, we were talking about, you were talking about making sure that you're getting down below parallel. We'll go to a below parallel box. Okay. Now, when you sit back, usually when I take my squat stance, it's about this wide. When I take my box squat stance, it's a little bit wider. It's almost like it's like a sumo deadlift stance. So the feet are out a bit wider. Mine actually go kind of right. My toes are actually behind my uprights when I do my box squats. So I take my stance, and with a box squat, you don't want your knees traveling forward. Again, you want to take that pressure off those knees. You want to put it more into your hips. So when you fire off the box, it's coming. It's coming from here. So you may have to do some more some supplemental work to really hit quads a little bit more. But when you sit back, you want to try to keep your shins a lot more vertical, a lot more perpendicular to the floor. You don't want a lot of travel forward on your knees. Now, you're not going to be going as wide as I am, so you may have a little bit more forward travel, but that's okay. But so what you want to do is you want to sit back, and then when you get to the box, you don't want to rock like this. You want to kind of like sit. You want to sit kind of back into it, and then up. But you don't want to get like too much English. You want to kind of be able to get into that relaxed position to be able, but you want to still try to keep, generally the same kind of forward pitch of your, you don't want that back angle to change. You want that back angle to stay the same when you're going down. So you're going to go down and you're going to kind of go slightly back and then come up. And then when you come up, you're going to want to fire up through. And where that's coming from, that's coming from the hips. Come down, up. and down and up. That's, you know, that's where you want that to come from. This is set, and I come head up, focus on something right in front of you, just slightly up. I'm not a big down looker. I'm more straight ahead. So I got my point. Stand up, take a step, and now get my toes where I want them to be. And I breathe into my stomach. I brace down. I pull that down like I'm trying to like bend this bar over my shoulders. I sit back and come up. And I sit back, come up. Now with this, like I said, with the blocks you go a little bit wider. So I usually go out to here. Allows me to sit in my hips a little bit more. I go down, back up.